Hi guys, welcome to this module on charts. First one I'm going to look at is a chart on two axes. Then I'm going to look at a chart that is triggered by a date. So if I put November 18, when I press enter, the chart reflects these figures, which are looking at the sales from November 18 back 6 months. Then we're going to look at creating a dial chart where if I change the progress on this chart, the chart moves around to reflect that progress. And then finally we'll have a look at a waterfall chart where if I increase my income, the waterfall chart reacts and the balance owed reduces. So let's go back to the first one, charts on two axes. So I'm going to delete this chart off. Before I delete it off, just to point out, this axis is looking at the students. If I didn't have it like that, this line would be almost across the bottom because these figures are a lot smaller than these figures. Right, let's just delete that off and highlight the data. So highlight the data, insert. I'll just do it as a column chart first of all to show you. So there you go, look, column chart, very difficult to see the students. So now I'm going to go for a combination chart, a combo chart, which is this one, and I'll pick that one, and then the line still sits along the bottom because there is only one axis and that's all it can see, these figures here, which obviously the 10,000 being the first category is way bigger than any of these figures. So what I have to do here is click on change chart type, which is hard to say fast, and then for the line tick this little box that says secondary category or secondary axis. So now you've got two categories, one down the right hand side which the line is looking at, and then one down the left hand side which the column is looking at. And we'll click OK to that. Here you go. Now the next one, rolling 6 month chart, is basically triggered as I showed you already. If I type a month in there, the graph shows back from December, in this case 18, 6 months. Now what is triggering this is, first of all, if I delete this graph, because this is just a straightforward column graph, this cell has got a date in it which I've just typed. Subsequent cells have got a formula or a function in there that is looking at that date and reducing it by 1 month. So if I click into this function, you can see the help coming up. So it's looking at the date, the year, the month, and then the day is the first day of the month. So because I've got a -1 there, it's just taking 1 month basically off the previous cell. So December 18, November 18, October 18, etc, etc. Now the figures themselves are generated with SumIF. So the SumIF function is looking at the list period, which is the yellow area. These dates are called period, and then looking at cell B4 in this case, B4 says July 18. If it finds July 18 along that period, which it does there, it looks for the sales figure, which is the green area, sales, that represents that, July 18, 2,343, 2,343. So it's a SumIF function that's driving this, along with this date function that's reducing the dates. And then to do the graph, you're just doing a simple column graph, and the graph is just looking at that table of data there. So if this changes, which it does when you change the date, the trigger date, the graph just reacts to that. So if I click on there again and put April 19 in there, when I press enter, the graph just reflects April 19. I use this graph quite a lot myself. I have 20 or 30 graphs looking back 12 months, not 6 months, in my account, so I can type in basically any date in this trigger cell going back 10 years almost, and it will give me 12 months back from that date. It did take me 10 years to put it into my accounts, however, but it's great and I'm glad I've got it now. But that's a very, very common use of SumIF with graphs. The next one is a dial chart, a very simple dial chart. So this is a donut chart where I've got a progress cell. If I type a figure in there, the dial chart reacts quickly to that. 54% progress, 46 remaining. Now if I click and delete that one, so I just need to highlight those two, insert, come across and select donut, move it over there, and then right click, add data labels to get the labels on there, and maybe I want to leave this blue but change this one to red. Just change the color on this to red. So when I increase the progress, it's a bit more visual, more blue, less red. I could probably change this as well. If I go into there, solid fill, pick a different color to that. There we go, and do the same for that one. So they stand out a bit more. I can maybe make this a bit fatter, the hole slightly smaller by bringing that down a bit. The chart title, if I click on the chart title, I can click in the formula bar and type equals and then go and click onto a cell, which is progress. And then I might just format the rest of it black, because I do like black as a colour. Stands out. Progress needs to come white maybe, so solid fill, white, so that stands out. So that's a very simple progress chart. There are a lot more complicated ones around than that, but this is for this level, and that's how that works. Now the last graph is what's called a waterfall chart. It starts with a figure old in this example, and then you've got figures coming off of that depending on what you've got in this income column. So 6,400 for St James Limited brings this down to 72,951. 10,000 off that brings it down to 62. 3,000 off that brings it down to 59. 59 is the total owed. Now the graph is just a stacked column graph that is looking at this data. So the formulas that you need in this are these. So in the cell C2 it says equals C1 minus A2. C1 minus A2. Then it says C2 minus A3 and C3 minus A4. So that's how they're reducing. And then to get the other part of the stacked column, you basically need these formulas. So C1 is the total amount minus C2, which gives you the 6,400, which is this orange piece there. That one is saying C2 minus C3. C3 gives me this figure, 10,000. And lastly, C3 minus C4. C3 minus C4, which gives you this figure. Sorry, that one, 3,000. And then the last one is the total remaining. So the idea of these waterfall graphs is that you have a figure and then you get a figure coming against that, in this case income, so that says 6,400, and then off the bottom of that you have the 10,000. So at the bottom of the 6,000 you have the 10,000, at the bottom of the 10,000 you have the 3,000, and at the bottom of the 3,000 you have the total remaining. So if I change any of these income figures, if I put that to 30,000, It's going to be quite a drastic drop, but you can still see it's coming off the bottom, and that's why it's called a waterfall chart. So that's a very quick overview of a few extra charts. I hope you enjoyed those, and thank you for your attention.